is because if you have a black background and try to multiply something onto black, like black is 0, so anything multiplied by 0 is 0. So when you make your texture, if you're going to be like using a picture to paint a texture, like using that as your brush, basically making a brush with a picture, you have to have your texture be white because you're going to be multiplying it on top. So I'm going to call this slime, and I'm going to make it a resolution of 2048, and I'm going to make this white. So then when I multiply it on top of white, it'll actually show up. So we have this white background, but before I paint, I need to put it into this slime image texture has to be visible within the material so it knows that I'm painting onto this. I have to make sure it's selected, and then maybe I have to tab once to get out, like into edit mode, and then get back in. And now I should be able to, like, for example, paint black onto it. But we want to use an image as like a texture. So once again, there's this texture down here, but I haven't made any texture, so there isn't really anything to select. So I'm going to go up here to the texture material tab, and I'm going to choose brush because I want to make a brush. I'm going to make a new brush and call this slime brush just to keep it organized. And I'm going to use an image, so I'll open my grunge image. And I'm going to use that like kind of peeling plaster picture. And I think now it should, no, it shouldn't work, but it should work. Oh, we need to make this, I made it black, so we need to make the texture white. So just be careful about any changes you do. So now it's starting to appear. If I'm using a white color, but using this as my texture, it'll appear. But if this was black, then it like blacks out the texture. So just think when you're doing anything with like using images and painting, using it as a brush, just think like you need to do white because the image texture itself is what's going to make the brush dark. So really right here, this looks like we're getting a start. As you can see, it's like it's tiling a little bit, and it doesn't quite look like that great. So just a few little tricks you can do. A lot of people say switch it to multiply. I'm not sure if that actually makes much of a difference. So I'm not going to switch it to multiply. Let's just leave it on the default white and mix. But the size of the texture is based on the radius of the brush. So if I make a smaller brush radius, I'm going to see like some more tiling. But if you want to get rid of that tiling, you can switch this to, instead of being tiled, you can do view plane and click this random button, and it should, what's going on now is as I click and drag, it's like it's sampling from a different part of the image and rotating it. So they're like you see that piece of grunge right there is like the same as here. Let me go back and make this bigger. So a way you could use that is like just using this as a stamp. If I want to make the top, you know, every time I click, it's kind of picking a different piece, and you get a more randomized texture. But then it gets, just be careful, it gets like stretched along whatever surface. But another cool way is if you have, I go down to stroke and choose anchored. Then I can like click and drag and rotate. So remember, you have to be in view plane to do this. And you can start like moving the texture around like that. You know, just like using it like little stamps. So let's see what happens if you go into rendered mode. And like, let's use this texture as a bump map, for example. So it's basically black and white. So if I go vector, bump, I plug the color into the height, and I plug the normal into the normal. Like all of a sudden you see it didn't add any color, but it added some And basically anywhere that there was, you could invert this here if you weren't liking the results. But that's just another way you can paint textures. And then if you added like your brick, let me open, you know, you could plug your bricks into the color and maybe let's see, maybe mix so anywhere that's white, I want to be brick. Anywhere that's kind of black, I want to be something else. So I have to switch these sockets because this is the white socket down here. So we'll do that. And like, I don't know, it has like a dusty feel or something. But this is a way you can use like a picture downloaded from the internet and give it added character. You can like customize it to your scene. You can always add a color ramp, converter, color ramp, and you know, yeah, you just get different results like that. And actually, I think I can keep painting. If I have this selected, I'm still in Texture Paint, and maybe I'll drag. Yeah, maybe not. Okay, so one other thing about this anchored. Let's go textured. Like if you're at a weird angle, sometimes that anchor stamp won't pop up. So let's see. Anyways, if for some reason you're clicking and dragging and you're not seeing like the stamp pop up, it seems to be working now, but it might just be you have to be like more direct on. Yeah. Okay.